Hi y'all, welcome back to week 11 worksheet. And so let's go ahead and jump right into the problems. So the first question, question A, they asks for which velocity component is zero, right? So there's a lot of rules and set of rules you can apply, either mentioned in the textbook, either mentioned in lectures, that you can determine whether the velocity components are zero or not. So let's go ahead and tackle this. So you know that at first we know this is a comet flow, right? We know that this is a comet flow. Okay, the definition of comet flow is mentioned on textbook page 294. Okay, so in summary, comet flow is caused by a movement of the surface. So caused by the movement of surface. Okay. What do we know additionally? There's two things we know. The first thing is this is not a sink or source flow, so there's no radial components. So let me write down. Since this is not a sink or source flow, the radial component is zero. So what does it mean? It means that UR is zero. Okay. The second thing we know is that this is not flow through pipe or concentric cylinders. So since this is not flow through pipe or concentric cylinder you can say that the Z component is zero. Okay, let me bracket it for y'all. Okay, like this, that. Okay, what's the next thing? This is the not equal zero components. Okay, so we know that they have the rotation going on, right? So you can say since this involve rotation of cylinder, then the theta component of the velocity is not zero, or in other words, they exist. Okay, now that is for part A. So after you determine which velocity is zero, which velocity is not, let's move on and write Navier-Stokes equation and see what we can get from that. So the first Navier-Stokes equation we're gonna use is the continuity equation, which is also the question of part B. So part B, they ask you to formulate the continuity equation, compute the result, and commenting on the result, right? So the first thing is very important for an engineering students is where in the textbook I can find this equation, continuity equation, right? So for this textbook, you can use using table 5.6, page 268. What does it say? it say that partial of density over time. Okay, this term right here, you guys see this term is this data is partial. It's partial derivative. Okay. Okay, and then we plus 1 over r times what? Times the partial of rho times r times ur over vr plus 1 over r times theta partial of rho times u theta over partial theta plus partial of rho times uz over partial z equals 0. Okay. Which terms can we cancel out in this case? Yes, we can cancel this out because this is an incompressible flow. Okay, so incompressible fluid. So it means that the density doesn't change through time. Change through times. Okay. Also, this thing we can cancel out right here because uz is 0. Okay. In this term right here, we can also cancel out because ur equals 0. And we are left with 1 over r times partial of rho times u theta over partial theta equals 0. Okay, and then what? We know that density doesn't change through times, and density doesn't change through space. Doesn't change through space. What does it mean? It means that in this case, density is a constant. I hope you guys can see my pointers. I hope there's a better way to represent this pointer. Let me see. Yeah, it's kind of okay. So this row right here, I will highlight it. You can treat it as a constant because it doesn't depends on space. So you can write 1 over r times rho times partial of u theta over theta equals 0. And if you cancel both sides, you can say that the partial of u theta over theta equals 0. Okay? So what does it mean? It means that you arrive at the result, right? So you might wondering, like, after all this analysis, you get this. Is it helpful? Yes, it is. Spoiler alert, it will be very, very crucial in part C and part D. It will lead to very, very important cancellation. But what is the physical interpretation of this? Well, it means that u theta is not a function of theta. Okay? It's like when you have dy over dx equals 0, y is not a function of x. So we can interpret that u theta is not a function of theta. Okay, what can it be? There's two possible scenarios. U theta can be a function of r, or it can be a function of z. Okay, later on we'll see which one is the better suited one. Okay, and that is for part B. Later we will go to part C. Thank you for your attention.